quite clear now that our system of public representative accountability is very flawed. This stems from the report that we have received regarding the unrest of July 2021 last year, where there was havoc in the KZN province, looting, as well as in Johannesburg, around Soweto, and few places in the Eastern, Alexander, and so forth. This stemmed from the sentencing of President Jacob Zuma. The report came through and it identified few key points. They also emphasize that the cabinet is responsible for this and not being able to step in, and so the blame is squarely at the foot of the cabinet, which is obviously responsible for discharging our national security in terms of the SAPS, intelligence agencies, and so forth. So in an ideal democracy, the whole cabinet would then have resigned. So in our republic, the president obviously is not being voted by us as citizens. We vote for a political party, then a political party would then have their president who wins the elective conference, and then the president would then come up with a compromised cabinet where they would normally have to balance the factions of the political parties in order for it to keep going, as much as that will impact the governance of the day to be quite slowly, to be bureaucratic, as a result of president having to balance all the different forces, bringing in other members of parliament and cabinet members from the tripartite alliance, COSATU, as well as the South African Communist Party member. Remember, Zwelenzima Vavi, former General Secretary of COSATU, who left because he was vehemently against having one of their leaders, like your General Secretary or the President, to be in the parliament, being member of parliament or being in the cabinet. Why? They're representing the workers, and at times, because of they are tied down by the very same government, they are then unable to represent the workers well. They get paid, get lazy, and not be able to be effective. And as a result, it affects your workers' union. As for the SACP, I don't know what their purpose is, because mostly they would threaten to go at it alone, and eventually at the end of the day you'll see them being in line. So it comes with the perks as a result. So this is where then we're having a problem of, now the report state that the cabinet is solely responsible. Who would resolve the cabinet? No one will resolve the cabinet. Each and every, the very same thing applies to the members of parliament. They're not from a specific constituent, where when you vote in the local elections, you would then be able to say, hey, you haven't performed well, here's your punishment, we vote you out. So it's always a political party. I think it's one of the problems that are happening. And as a result, because of the cabinet being responsible for all these other law enforcement agencies, for example, the Department of Defense, it has been said, it reported in the Parliament Portfolio Committee, that the Department of Defense had spent less than 50% of the budget money allocated to it. Okay? So the only place where they've been effective was to spend 101% in terms of salaries. So they did not expand, they did not spend the money in a wise manner, in order for instance, to boost the military when there were riots, for them to have enough gears and so forth. And at the end of the year, the 40, because they've spent about 48%, so 52% of that amount is going to go back to the treasury. And one of the other things that's been happening is also the fight between the commissioner of the police, as well as the minister of police, another cabinet member, that resulted in not being able to infiltrate some of the folks who organized this chaos. They were not. Remember, there was a WhatsApp group that was going on. Means nobody was able to infiltrate that, prevent the situation, and or at least partly prevent it. And if all else fails, then still be able to be there and disrupt it. So it didn't happen. We were told now that there's a whole lack of equipment, shortage of police. At least now you can blame Cardiff, as it's called by our minister Njim Mutseha. You can blame it and say, oh, okay, they said there were about to be 10,000 police officers who are going to be hired, and that stopped as a result because of COVID. And then one other thing also, Department of Home Affairs, obviously the minister responsible for that, Minister Mutsualedi. This stems to the issue of porous borders. There was a fence which was built where 27 million was being spent, like a fence, basically, where you can just scale through and willy-nilly going to and fro at the borders. I don't know where the investigations are at this point. Patricia Jalil is the ministers responsible for that. And obviously she's a member of a good party, which then was called in, roped in to work with President Cyril Ramaphosa. And so across the board, there's been a systematic failure by the cabinet members to be able to execute their job. So the report put it in a subtle way of just basically saying that those people are to be fired. But we all know that the ANC members like to say that only president can appoint and disappoint the cabinet members. So it's not going to happen. President Cyril Ramaphosa spoke about it a little bit in the State of Our Nation address, and said we're going to now fortify, I'm just paraphrasing, we go nationwide and strengthen our security clusters and blah, 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 and so forth. So we are where we are because of such situations, and I don't expect anything to change. So that's just my take. My name is Mamuji, and thanks for watching the Mamuji Show. I'm out.